right, welcome in. What do we call this thing again?
Yard prep.
Yard prep. I keep forgetting that. I mean,
we got the little ticker going down there. So.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, Lewis, you're more on top of the details than me. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. We got Lewis Sung. We've got Eric Wadicki. We've got Michael Quirk. We've got a full boat here today. I don't know what time it is because you never combine daylight savings time with a Germany game, but I think it's 8:33 Eastern time as we're doing this, which means that kickoff is roughly an hour away. The Dolphins and the Chiefs, I mean, really the game of the year so far, and an opportunity for the Dolphins to prove that what happened against Buffalo and Philadelphia was not who they are, and what they've been against the other teams is who they are. And Kansas City coming off its worst offensive performance of the Andy Reid era, actually. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We are sponsored here by Prize Picks. We're going to mention it here as we go forward. Use the code 5, FIVE, get that initial deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com is legal in the state of Florida, so if you've heard otherwise, that is inaccurate. You can still play Prize Picks. You can still get your money. And again, our code gives you the best deal. So use the code 5, FIVE, get it matched up to $100. We'll get to some of our Prize Picks as we go forward. Also just finished the show with David Ebersol and David Friedman, which is up on the channel, where we gave you our picks. So we'll combine those with some of the ones here. All right, let's get to the inactives real quick. The one that matters is Robert Hunt. We knew that coming in. The one that's active that matters is Xavier Howard, which we expected coming in. So, Lewis, I'll go to you here on the start. You're facing Mahomes. He doesn't have elite receivers at this point. The elite receiver he had is playing for the Dolphins today. How does Xavier Howard playing change the equation here in any way? And are we going to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Travis Kelce?
Well, I will answer that in just a moment. But first, I want to just address Jeffrey's question. How do you say FinsUp in German? So according to Google Translate, so don't quote me on this, it is Flossenhack. That's how you say it.
Flossenhack. We got to clip that. That's good stuff. I'll ask Simon, too. We had our Simon Clancy for 3 yards per carry over there all week. Dazzling everybody with his acumen. Which I don't know how you say that in Germany either, although it sounds like a German word. So, Lewis.
Yes, Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me in German how who's going to handle Travis Kelce today?
I'm going to do another German quote and say, I know nothing. I know nothing. Anyway, all right. So the real answer to the Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard question. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey brings a whole new dimension to what this Dolphins defense can do. The fact that we have a full-strength defense for the first time all season. I'm sure Vic Fangio is just chomping at the bit to try out all these new coverages that he had been hoping to use all season long. Then he hasn't been able to do that because he's had to rely on the likes of Eli Apple. And I know that the 3 yards per carry crew have been giving us kind of trying to get us to settle down on the whole Eli Apple is bad talk. I just see what I see. I look at it on live during game day. Eli Apple he doesn't usually stop the ball from getting caught, and that's kind of what it is that bothers me. Like, I'm glad he's not making a whole lot of mistakes. That's great. But I want a dude who's actually going to stop the Dolphins from, who's going to stop the Chiefs from actually catching the football. So that's my concern. Now with Jalen Ramsey added to the equation, now all of a sudden, if Vic Fangio wants to move Jalen Ramsey around, if he wants to cover Travis Kelce with Jalen Ramsey, he can do that. If he wants to go chase around Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore or any of these other guys that they happen to have at wide receiver, Mecole Hardman, not that any of those guys are necessarily world beaters by any stretch, but they do have Patrick Mahomes throwing them the football, so you have to at least be mindful of them. You can't just cover Kelce and then let everybody else to their own devices. You can't do that. So Xavier Howard being in there means that whoever Flossenhack is coming up all over the place now. So James Davis telling me don't put Ramsey on Kelce. That's not a good thing to do. Okay, well, I mean,
I do remember that actually. That's interesting. Yes.
Well, the problem is that we don't really have a better option. The best thing you can do is just try to limit Travis Kelce. I actually picked him on my Prize Picks to have an over on a touchdown. I think he does score a touchdown today because he's Travis Kelce and he's the only real weapon that Patrick Mahomes has. So he will find a way to get it to him. So my concern is that the Dolphins defense, maybe they haven't had enough time to gel yet with Jalen Ramsey in there. Obviously, though, just having the better talent makes them better just because it's there now. You don't have to rely on Eli Apple. You don't have to rely on Kader Kohu being outside. You can move Kohu around. You can put Xavier Howard on whichever boundary spot you want at any given moment. Jalen Ramsey can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play in the box. He can play the other boundary corner if that's what they decide. And Nick Needham is back. We can't even ignore that. Now we don't have to go to the likes of Perry Nickerson or any of those guys to be able to be depth. Now Nick Needham is the depth. And if that's your depth, then I am one happy camper. This defense, if there was ever a time that the Dolphins could stop Kansas City, it is now. So they better do it.
So, all right, Michael and Eric on this. Patrick Mahomes is having a different kind of season, I think, than he's had before. But I'm looking at the attempts here on Prize Picks. They're expecting like 37.5, 38.5. Would you, defensively, let's start with you here, Eric. Defensively here, Mahomes is going to get his to a certain degree. You load up against the run here a little bit more than maybe you might usually against the Chiefs.
Yeah, because I think and it kind of hits on something that I was actually kind of getting at here. I think honestly the best strategy might just be to let Kelsey do his thing and just try to erase everything else in the Chiefs' arsenal. The other thing when it comes to Mahomes is, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to, number one, I really like Jerome Baker as a blitzer against Patrick Mahomes. I remember, that game a couple of years back in Miami. He was very effective in that role against Patrick Mahomes. But overall, I think you're looking at just making sure that he's not extending the play, getting outside of the pocket. And a lot of that is kind of the same stuff that you would do when it comes to, in terms of gap integrity, trying to stop the run and just getting the Chiefs behind the sticks, because this is not an explosive offense like it once was. The Chiefs have the NFL's first. It almost feels like they're number 3 in the passing game, but it almost feels like they're grinding out their yards 5, 6, 7 yards at a time right now with these, short hitches to Travis Kelce and letting him do the rest of the work. So get them behind the sticks and force them to throw the ball deep downfield, because that's where Mahomes is going to have to target his receivers. And, the Dolphins for the first 5, 6, 7 games of the season, they were outgunned and outmanned in the secondary. And I think this time around, the shoe is kind of on the other foot with Kansas City being outgunned and outmanned with their receiver room.
Yeah, Michael, that's what struck me when I've watched Chiefs games this year is it doesn't feel like the Chiefs are getting out on top of you offensively. It does feel like Mahomes is just converting certain things he needs to convert, whether he gets out of the pocket or finds Kelsey. Like it does feel like skin of their teeth type stuff. They're not the overwhelming offensive force, which we'll get to in a second, is on the other side today. It feels like to me. But as you look again at this Kansas City offense and the Miami defense, can they pressure Mahomes? I guess is the question today. Can they get pressure without having to go to anything exotic, which that they don't really want to do?
Yeah, they're going to have to. And last time these two teams played, obviously the Dolphins picked off Patrick Mahomes 3 times, had 3 sacks in that game, and that was back into his rookie year. They're going to have to get pressure. And I forget which game it was. It was maybe 2-3 weeks ago where the announcer said, the Dolphins are so used to getting pressure with 4. And I said, I watching 2 different Miami Dolphins teams. But something that's been interesting to me is watching Patrick Mahomes running the ball this year. That I don't think that he has a ton of faith in his wide receiver core, and that's not an indictment of Patrick Mahomes, because why would you? If you've watched Kadarius Toney play 1 snap this year, you wouldn't have faith in him either. So the Dolphins are going to have to limit that, because that's been a backbreaker for a lot of defenses this year, is watching the Chiefs get into a 3rd and 9. And then everyone's blanketed. Patrick Mahomes is very adept at knowing where the sticks are and getting there. So the Dolphins are going to have to make life uncomfortable for Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs aren't going to win this game by beating you with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Isaiah Pacheco. And I agree with Eric. If you can just have Kelsey getting his and there's nothing else going on that Chiefs offense, that's going to make it really tough on Kansas City. But you can't have those back-breaking runs from Patrick Mahomes, getting to the sticks, elongating drives, not only keeping your defense on the field, but keeping your own offense off the field.
Yeah, Michael, now I'm going to take a look at the prize picks again later because I do like Mahomes rushing yards. I do like Mahomes over half a pick. I think that's a gimme with the secondary being improved for the Dolphins today. Let's go to the other side now, okay? I thought if you look at Tua and what he did against the Chiefs a couple of years ago when he had nothing, and now you look at what he's got. Now, the Chiefs' defense, I think, is better in a lot of different areas today. Tyreek Hill is going to be the focus for obvious reasons, maybe different than if this game had been in Kansas City. If you're at Lewis on the Dolphins side right now, we talk about Mike not abandoning the run. I look on prize picks. I think Mostert's at 11.5 carries. I kind of like that today. A lot of people are taking Wilson's number over. I feel like they need to establish it a little bit, don't they?
100% they do, and it's going to help a little bit that Connor Williams, as you can see in the inactive list here, he is absent from that list, thank goodness, and also the fact that Teron Armstead is going to be playing tonight, today. Like Teron Armstead is going to be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, so this is a really big deal for them. They have the opportunity now to be able to run the ball to the left, if nothing else, but again, that would be taking away credit from Austin Jackson, who is doing a fantastic job. Robert Hunt, as we already alluded to earlier, he is the big missing link here on the offensive line. Without him, it's going to be a little more difficult, but I don't think it's going to be impossible. The only thing we have to worry about is whether or not Connor Williams, coming off his groin injury, is going to be able to slow down Chris Jones without Robert Hunt's help. Now, we've been talking about how Connor Williams has done a fantastic job, and he has. As far as his blocking prowess, he's up there in the top 5 in the NFL. But Chris Jones is a top 3, if not top 2 defensive tackle in football. All due respect to Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer, Chris Jones is on another level. So you have to be able to stop somebody like him, or at the very least slow him down enough that the running game doesn't get completely stifled. That's very important. What's the good news is that what the Dolphins excel in is outside rushes, being able to get around the corner, get to use that speed that Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson have, that they're going to be able to get around the corners. And since Chris Jones, interior defensive lineman, all you have to do is make it so that he can't race all the way to the sideline and be able to stop it in its tracks. With Teron Armstead at left tackle, that's going to help out a lot, because now you're going to have somebody out there who's probably one of the best at his position still, even at like 70% health, he's still one of the top 5 offensive linemen in football as far as left tackle is concerned. So it's going to be a huge deal for them. As far as the weapons, Robbie Chosen being inactive, not a surprise. I think there have been reports around pictures being taken. River Craycraft is hanging around, so maybe he's finally coming back. So that will be interesting. So, and if Craycraft is back, and you have Chase Claypool active as well, those two are apparent. I guess Claypool all of a sudden is one of the best blockers on the team as far as wide receiver goes. So that was a sudden turnaround. I guess now he's just happy to be somewhere where he's appreciated. So maybe he does some contributing there. And Craycraft coming back, that's going to help in the run game too, because getting blocks to second level, that's all on guys like Craycraft, and now it's going to be Chase Claypool as well. So that's going to really help the run game a lot. And obviously when the run game is working, Tua can go on fire on all cylinders.
Michael, Tua, I think 280 something yards in terms of where you go, 23.5 completions. Those are the numbers on prize picks. We have seen him be willing to spread the ball around. Lewis mentions the other options he's got available. I think he involved Smythe a little bit early today also. There is going to be outsized attention on Hill today. How do they take advantage of it, or just you go to Tyreek?
Listen, Patrick Mahomes had quite a few years of bleep it, Tyreek's down there somewhere.
Right.
That's never a bad game plan in my opinion. But you're right, and the Dolphins also have someone in the MVP running right there out of the backfield in Alec Ingold. So when Tyreek takes so much attention, as we've talked about, what that opens up for a guy like Jalen Waddle, who just feasts across the middle there, and what that means for guys like Mostert and Ingold out of the backfield. And I agree that Durham could be seeing some his way. Tua's not going to lock in on anybody. Of course, when you have that warm, cozy blanket that is a first ballot Hall of Famer in Tyreek Hill, that makes things a bit easier. But in terms of prize picks, I'm going over that passing mark with Tua. I know that anytime you watch a Chiefs game, you're going to hear Trent McDuffie's name a lot, and Chris Jones's name a lot. So there will be quite a challenge there, and it does have to make you feel a bit better having a guy like Connor back there, as well as Teron Armstead back there. I see Tua having a big game today. I see him moving around a lot, and I see it's hard to contain Tyreek for so long. You saw that happen maybe once this year with the Patriots up in New England, where they were able to take away what Miami really wanted to do with him and kept everything in front of them. But that's just a dam that's going to break at some point. So while I see him spreading it around a lot, I see Tua going over the 300-yard mark today. And I think Tyreek's also going to go over the 100-yard mark yet again today.
Yeah, you guys mentioned, we shouldn't forget, I'm glad Lewis mentioned Austin Jackson early, because to me, he's the most improved player on this team. I don't think it's even particularly close. We'll spread it around here to Eric. The script early. But we know first thing what's going to happen. The Dolphins are going to win the toss, and he's going to defer, because that seems to be what happens in every single game here. Right? So if you're going to play the coin toss, you can do that. But it feels the Chiefs' pass defense is pretty good. It's really good, actually. It's their run defense that hasn't been that great this year. So, I mean, I'll go back to a question I asked Lewis at the very beginning. I mean, how do you leverage the run game today? Is this a game we could see Mostert and Wilson combined for 20-plus carries?
I think so. This is a Chiefs team that when you look at their weaknesses on defense, they've been really leaky against the run recently. I think they're averaging allowing 140 a game over the last 3 weeks. And this is a Dolphins offense that is well suited to take advantage of any weaknesses that a defense has, whether that's, on the ground or in the air. I think that it's going to lead to kind of both today. I think the Dolphins will be leaning into the run pretty heavily early on, and eventually kind of softening up that Chiefs defense for those deep shots later on with Tyreek Hill. I don't see the Dolphins having issues running the football. I think Connor Williams coming back is going to be a massive thing for that run game. Martina mentions that Connor Williams getting to that second level, it's a huge part of what the Dolphins do, because Liam Eichenberg, as good as he was in the time, and he was decent, just that getting to that second level isn't something that he can do as well as Connor Williams, and it just unlocks a lot of those runs to the outside where instead of Raheem Mostert going for 11 yards and a first down, he's going for 74 yards and a touchdown. And that's kind of what that gives you. I think it just makes the Dolphins run game more explosive. I think over 20 carries and probably over 150 combined for the two of those guys.
They get over 150 combined. They're winning this game. All right, we'll do the predictions. I'll start here. I think this is the one, guys. I think this is the one where they break through. There's been this narrative. Thank you, David. We appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. I think this is the one they break through. The narrative has been that they haven't played anybody good, or the two teams they played that were any good, they couldn't beat them. But I think in a lot of ways they've been gearing up to this one. To me, an offense as historically good as the Chiefs' offense has been, it has not been quite that this year. And an offense where you really have to take away one guy, I feel better about that with Fangio's defense, and I know you guys are saying maybe you let Kelsey eat. That's possible. But if that's what happens, I'm okay with that too. I don't feel like they're diversified enough offensively with all of their weapons. I think that Mahomes running is a concern. That is absolutely a concern. There's going to be a couple drives in this game where you think you've got them stopped, and he's going to do something to extend the drive. They got to stay with it in that regard. But on the other side, you're looking at a Dolphins offense right now. They have added Claypool. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a factor in some way today. They've had now a couple of weeks to build this up. I don't think Hill is stoppable. I think focusing on Hill is fine, but I don't think he's stoppable at this stage. I think this will, to a certain degree, be a shootout. But I think Miami just has more in that kind of situation than the Chiefs, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But I'm going to go with something along the lines of 34-27 today. I think the Chiefs get a late touchdown, make it interesting, but I like the Dolphins today. Lewis, your pick.
So I'm going to be consistent with what I've been saying on Pulse of Fins Nation and also what I said on Fins Nation, in spite of the fact that everybody is upset with me for saying it. And this keeps coming up a lot in the discussion down here. People are talking about field condition and what's going on the field. So if there was rain, there was wind, and the discussion is that even though it's technically enclosed for the fans, apparently the stadium is going to be open like Hard Rock. So I'm not sure what the situation is going to be. So, and also Martina talking about in the UK, it's been heavy rain for the last week. So a lot of rain, a lot of mud. I don't think that this is, I don't have any insight on this. I don't have any news on this, but it really doesn't feel like to me that Germany would want their game to be rained out or washed out. I don't think they're looking for a mud bowl.
I would recommend people check out Simon's Twitter feed because I think he's on this. He's actually, I don't know how Simon got on the field because I can't do that in America.
Because he impressed Mike McDaniel and now he's getting special treatment.
But if you go to Simon Clancy on Twitter, or is it at Cy Clancy? I think it's one of them.
At Cy Clancy, yes.
At Cy Clancy. He's been on the field, and the field looks okay from what he's taken pictures of. So I don't know if the roof's on or off or whatever, but it doesn't look awful. The field here at Hard Rock sometimes is horrific, particularly after a Canes game. So, literally Simon's right there. There you go. There's a roof, right?
But that's the thing is it covered for? I guess it looks like it's covered for everybody. I can't imagine that they want the weather to be awful for their game here.
Well, there you go. So see, you get the answers here on Yard Prep or whatever it is we call it. Give me a pick, Lewis. Give me a pick.
I'm sticking with what I said before. I need to see it before I can believe it. I'm sorry, and I'm picking the Chiefs 33-30.
All right, look at that. That's good. You get diversity here on this program. Eric, what do you like?
The defense is finally peaking. Give me 31-23 Miami.
Okay. That would be a win and a cover. Michael.
Yeah, I would really love for this whole Dolphins aren't beating anyone with a pulse thing to be put to bed. Though I want to remind people that this is not college football. You don't need style points. You don't need quality wins. You just need wins. And for this one, what Tua had when he played him as a rookie were his number one back was DeAndre Washington. And number one receiver was Lynn Bowden. And it was putting up over 300 yards. Give me the Dolphins 35-31. I think they're going to be able to do a lot of what they want to do on offense. I do agree with you that Patrick Mahomes will have at least one pick today. But you still have two first ballot Hall of Famers on the other side. So 35-31. Chiefs get some of theirs. Dolphins get more.
All right, look at that. All right, a couple of programming notes here. First, we appreciate everybody joining and participating here. That's what we like. After the game, check out Playback. If you guys are not familiar with it, download the Playback app. Look for the 5 Reasons Sports Room. Our guys from Inside Leverage are going to be on there. We'll also have a post-game show here. Also, check out 3 Yards Per Carry. Of course, that is our signature Dolphins podcast. We've added another podcast to our family this week with Omar Kelly and Alan Pupar called All Dolphins Podcast. Check that out. Pulse of Fins Nation with Lewis. What day is that? Tuesday, right? Tuesday typically.
Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. live, and it will be on the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast feed the next day.
Yes, so. We wanted to make that announcement. Very cool. We are putting that on the 3 Yards feed as well, and also check out Fins Nation with Lewis in the morning, and then of course all of our coverage on the other teams, including the Heat, the Canes. Although I honestly take it to I hate to say this, our 6 Rings Canes guys who I love, but take a break until they bench TBD at this point. And also our Messi coverage and everything else that's going on. Our Panthers coverage too. Alex Baumgart will be mad at me. All right, have a good day, everybody. We got 3 here who like the Dolphins. Lewis likes the Chiefs. I don't
like the Chiefs. I just picked the Chiefs.
Say it in German, Lewis. Say it in German. No.
I refuse. I do not acknowledge what you said. I do not like the Chiefs. I just said I think the Chiefs win, and I will be very sad along with everybody else if they do win. So there you go.
Just throw the reverse jinx on it. We appreciate it. Follow Cy Clancy on Twitter. He'll be the one asking the good questions after the game. Have a good one, everybody.